Hey everybody, thank you all for being here. We really appreciate it. Andy and I were here 10 minutes ago and no one was here. And we were stressed. He started texting everybody at CAVA, everyone showed up. So this entire site works for CAVA, and these are all everyone else who showed up. Thank you so much for joining us at our awesome off-premise panel. We'll talk about loyalty, we'll talk about catering, we'll talk about what happens when these great technologies talk to each other well. We'll also discuss when they don't talk to each other well. So we're really pumped to be here. You guys know these people. If you don't, the 2-3 people here who don't know them, let's do a quick intro. With you first, Andy.
Hi everybody, Andy Rebin, Chief Experience Officer at CAVA. Chief Experience Officer means a lot of different things. It's a relatively new title, but I like to call it a Chief Marketing Officer and a Chief Digital Officer. I have a baby, that's me. So all points of the customer journey. CAVA is a category-defining Mediterranean brand. We have 320 plus locations across 24 states, including the District of Columbia, and thrilled to be here and talk to you today about digital. The
initials are CEO, by the way. Any conflict ever with Brett? Any? No problems there. Brian.
Hello friends, Brian Ferris, Chief Development Officer for WOWorks. We've got 6 Better For You brands, all fast casual brands, 350 locations. Our brands are SaladWorks, Fruitables, Garbanzo Mediterranean, Barbaritos, and on the 23rd, we're introducing Z Eats to the world in Atlanta, Georgia. So we're very excited about that. And we are just launching with one of the greatest virtual brands of all time. Give it up for...
That was enough, but thank you. We'll talk about that later. Hi, thank you for having me. Jeff Alexander with WowBow. We are a quick serve, fast casual Asian brand based out of Chicago. I'm the small guy at the table with only 3 locations, but we also have 450 hot food vending machines across the country. We have about 700 virtual restaurants in the US and Canada, and we're in about 6,000 grocery stores with our frozen product.
Thank you so much for joining us, all 3 of you. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
All right, so first question, let's talk about the off-premise journey. It didn't start recently, it did not start during the pandemic, right? We've been exploring and improving off-premise and what it means since the 70s, right? It became from nice to have to something that is very important and a must-have. Question for you guys, was it from day one something you guys were intentional about, or there was an aha moment? Was it the pandemic? All answers are fair. Andy, you first.
I think it was one of those things that just grew dramatically during the pandemic. Obviously, when you think about off-premise, you want to be able to create that brand experience and deliver it to customers across whatever type of medium that they want to experience your brand. And I think off-premise really gave a lot of brands the opportunity to grow. When you think about off-premise in general, Uber Eats, DoorDash launched, it was like a singular product that could be delivered to you anywhere, whenever you wanted it. And now obviously every single brand is very reliant on off-premise. So I would say that it was something that became popularized during the pandemic. Me personally, I'm surprised that it stayed at the level of incidence that it has.
Yeah, Brian?
Yeah, I got started in off-premise probably on the left side of that chart.
Before the 70s?
Not
After?
the far left, about 2000. But off-premise has always been a very, very important part of the business, with starting with catering and then the rise of all the third-party delivery services. At WOWorks, we really started in 2019, pushing off-premise down to all of our locations, which really helped us during the pandemic because we were already in place with that option as the pandemic hit, and it really helped our stores to succeed through that process, through that stage.
So what I love about the slide is I don't think anybody read it because no one laughed about 2014, but it's okay.
You mean the section where it says Jeff became a licensed spin instructor?
Nobody reads your slides.
It is.
Remember that if you're ever at a panel.
Yeah.
I also think it's really like aging me here because I was born in 71, so I feel like my timeline's up there. So I joined Lettuce Entertain You in 1993. WowBow spun out of Lettuce Entertain You. It was created in 2003 from Lettuce. And over my history from 93 on, we've always done off-premise. And I think that the difference between then and current is we, the group that I've always worked with, we always took it as a serious business, right? Because it's just as important that person outside the restaurant, the person back then pre-delivery, who actually came to your restaurant, took time out of their left home, came to pick up food, you always had to make sure that you gave them a very good experience because they went through the trouble of coming to you. So we've always done off-premise. We've always believed in catering. We've always tried to get more sales. I remember we had fax machines in the restaurant, and the orders were coming off a fax, and you had to type it in. I mean, the stories go on and on. We started doing third-party delivery with WOWBOW in, I think it was 2012. We were probably, I think, the third restaurant to partner with Uber Eats in Chicago. And then prior to the pandemic, we had this idea that we could sell our product through distribution for other restaurants to sell on third-party delivery apps as WOWBOW. It's a whole separate revenue stream. We did not obviously know the pandemic was coming, and then March of 20, we exploded from 1 to 220 locations in that first year, and it's been continuing growing. Everyone talks about what's going on in the world right now with labor cost and commodity costs, and how do I grow sales to create that bottom line as I'm being stretched thin, and whether the press has been positive or negative about the virtual restaurant space. I fully believe that's a solution for people to combat all the commodity costs that are going on.
I have a question for you, but I gotta fix your collar really quickly, because we have more photos to come. And marketing is gonna get upset.
Thank you to all
Guys,
the
you get
marketing
full
people in the
service
audience
here.
for not saying anything.
I'm not just a moderator, I'll help you with your fashion, we'll color coordinate together, the full service.
Now I'm red.
One more question for you, Jeff. There's a price to being a first mover, and you keep on taking that risk again and again. You're doing it right now at the metaverse, right? Let's hear a little bit about that. You did it in 2012. You're using loyalty punch card before anyone else knew what it meant. What is the price of moving forward? Why do you keep doing it?
So the price of being an early adopter, so in 2010, which for the young people in the room sounds like a long time ago, but what happened in 2010 is we had desktop ordering. And everyone's like, desktop ordering, I grew up with that, it exists forever, but it didn't exist. And in fact, we turned it on, and within, I think, 14 months, the company we were working with went bankrupt. And in 2010, we also started digital coupons, where I could meet you on the street, text to your phone number, money to your phone, and then you could use it when you came into the stores. I mean, this is pre-Venmo, right, 2010. Needless to say, they went bankrupt too. But that's the headache, right? And what I always say about early adoption is there's the positive and the negative. The negative is going to be a headache. It's going to be a headache for you. It's going to be a headache for your employees. So you have to minimize the headache and be willing to take on the headache and be in the trenches with your team. The positive is you get to be an early adopter. You get invited to speak on panels. You get great press. And you get to help write the narrative. You get forgiven by people if you stumble because they don't see this anywhere else. And there's such a factor of, wow, I get to do this and be part of this. In 2010, we had self-ordering kiosks. I remember the first store we put it into, the technician was on the ground figuring the wires out to turn the machine on. It wasn't even on yet. And no disrespect to anyone in this room, but like a 75, 80-year-old woman walked up to the machine and tried. It was like, why isn't it working? So the adoption is there. It's the headache that comes with it and the willingness to be nimble and adjust if you need to.
Absolutely. Did you want to add something?
No, I was going to say, I think the biggest thing is making sure that you do right by the customer. Obviously, you get the headline by being first adopter, but making sure that that customer journey is consistent is always paramount to the experience. Because if a customer has a poor experience, regardless of the channel you operate on, they're going to blame the brand. So it's very, very important to make sure that that consistency is across all channels. And it's always great to innovate, but making sure that it doesn't sacrifice the customer or the employee experience.
Absolutely. Let's go to the next slide. One of the things we're trying to do is we're just trying to get food to people's homes, right? And we want to make sure they have a great time. But you need 7+ companies to do that, right? You need so many different companies to deliver the food, be the app, be the loyalty, be the web. There's a lot of things not happening because these companies are not speaking to each other. You faced this recently. You consolidated all your tech. Would love to hear about your life before you did this, after, just a day-to-day.
Yeah, sure. So the tech consolidation is very strategic for us, and as we are in the market acquiring brands, that's one of the very first things that we do. It's very important. We call it the One Wow Way, which is our platform for operating all of our restaurants and allows us to go deep with our solutions and provide to our franchisees and ultimately to our customers technology that works, systems that work, and systems that are scalable. So as we acquire a new brand, we bring them into the WOWorks family. We put them onto our technology platform. It's usually fine, right? It's not without a lot of work, but the benefits are amazing because now we have a single data source. Yeah. Now we can invest in tools. Now we can share information across all brands and our operators. If you can ring up a salad, you can ring up a burrito, you can ring up a gyro. it's all the same.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same. So it gives us that ability to continue to scale
Yeah.
and provide better tools.
I think it's very important to acknowledge you were called WOWorks before you started working with WowBow.
Yeah.
That's
By the way,
correct.
every
That's correct. It
time,
was
every
natural
time
synergy.
we hear a wow idiom, everyone has to take a shot. There's vodkas coming in. Jeff, Jeff, you guys are cutting edge. You guys have consolidated all your tech. The end user, what are they still not getting from you guys that you wish they were receiving? Anything out there that's still missing?
I think probably everyone in this room, or at least 99% of the people in this room, will agree that technology is fantastic, but it doesn't all talk to each other unless you're able to build your own and have it go. But there's always new technology. And what I say a lot is all this technology that we work with is fantastic, but none of it is made by restaurant people. And what happens is we all have to change our model, we have to change our business to fit this technology that we want to use. And 9 out of 10 times you're going to have a headache or a problem or it's not going to work. And to your point, that comes back to the brand. And you can test and you can do whatever you need to do to make sure it's going to work, but the systems don't speak to each other. So it's a headache that we all take on. But I think to go back to the point that you brought in earlier, as long as you are working every day diligently to make the experience for the guest not feel that headache, and then make sure your employees have a path forward to get through that point that is not all talking to each other, that's the focus we have to stay on.
Andy, any example comes to mind of 2 partners you had to say, guys, duke it out. I need this for my guest?
I think probably the one in my career is the Punch Olo example. I think sometimes Olo is consistently seen as one of the leaders in the order fulfillment space, and then you can only move as fast as one of the other providers, and you have to have the API, you have to have the connection, and ultimately, you have to figure, is it the guest that's going to win as a result of that integration? And so to me, it's really making sure that the end user experience is paramount to the success of what you're trying to put out in the world, because the guest doesn't care about Punch or Olo or Patronics or Lunchbox. All they care about is that I can order my food fast, I can get it filled quickly, and ultimately deliver on what the brand's trying to provide.
I do think they care about Lunchbox.
Thank you. I was so hurt. I was devastated. I was texting him. He said it on the Apple Watch. Jeff, let's go to the next slide really quickly. We are trying to, let's go ahead and maximize the 4 walls, everything within the 4 walls, then outside the 4 walls. Jeff, you go outside and you say, we are also going to serve food in the metaverse. Would love to hear about this amazing thing you're doing at Roblox and how you're going to convert them to real life dollars.
So I'm going to make this quickly because I don't want to take up a lot of time on the panel for it. But so I said earlier, we have 600, 700 virtual restaurants around the country. And we are always trying to get people off the third-party delivery platforms and order from wowbow.com, right? It's better for us financially, we get customer data, better for marketing, blah, blah, blah. So we decided in 2022, we launched a rewards program. It was not a loyalty program, it was rewards. So you would go to wowbow.com to place your order to be delivered across the country. Fast forward a year later to 2023, and we changed our rewards program to a loyalty program. And the difference really is rewards, you spend $1, you get a point. 100 points gets you money. That's rewards. We wanted to be loyalty. We wanted to actually get people to communicate with us, create community, make you feel like you were part of what we were doing and we could interact with you. So in 2023, we joined the metaverse and we launched, at the time, unfortunately, when we got involved with it, NFTs was very hot and a positive word. We launched, just before we launched, NFTs became very negative. So we didn't call them NFTs, we called them digital collectibles. And what would happen is for $99, you got your own digitally randomized collectible photo or collectible or a bow character. And then you got certain perks, right? 10% off your order, 10% off the merch store, double points every time you ordered, and other things that were exciting just for you to do it. Now you fast forward a year later, and we have to keep enhancing that, and we want to grow that customer base, and we want to stay relevant. And so we decided a year ago that we were going to go in on the metaverse. And for those of you who aren't as familiar with it, and I'm not the expert here, but there are an entire database or collection of people who game, right, and spend time online. These are not 5 and 7-year-olds, but they used to be 5 and 7-year-olds, and they are growing up. And on Roblox, which is the game that my 13-year-old has already outgrown, 17-something million people a day play this game. And 60 to 70% of them are over the age of 17. So we want to reach them where they are. So we partnered with Roblox and we created a scavenger hunt where you can go on the game. You go through 3 different points to the game. There's a restaurant in the game, there's a dance floor in the game, there's a hidden speakeasy. And when you find that hidden speakeasy, you are then able to get a UGC, a bow head that you can add to your character. This all launched 6 days ago. And to get that bow head, you have to join our rewards program and link the 2 accounts. And by linking the 2 accounts and joining the rewards program, then you're also going to get a coupon for a free box of our CPG, which is available at 6,000 retailers across the country. And you're going to get a chance to win Bow for a year, which is 52 weeks of coupons. And it's allowing us to reach these people who are gaming. And the goal, right, the touchdown, the grand slam that we're reaching for one day is I'm hoping that people are playing video games or, look at Apple VR that they're wearing and they're interacting online. They come across one of our hot food vending machines in the game or in the metaverse. And imagine as you come across this vending machine, you push a button, you interact with it, and you order your food. And don't stop playing, don't stop whatever you're doing, but the doorbell rings and food gets delivered to you.
Wow.
And it's a non-interruption to what you're doing. That's where we are going for. And I know in the press, Starbucks has left the metaverse and people are negative on NFTs. This goes back to your earlier point about early adoption. We are betting on not tomorrow. We are betting on 12 months, 24 months, 36 months. And when others enter the space, and I hope more do because it will be more education, we will be forgiven and we will be light years ahead of other people who are joining. And that's why we're going all in. That was not as short as it should have been.
Well, listen, we're
Time's up.
Yeah, we're grateful for you continuing to do that time and again. Andy, you've had 60% growth last year, unheard of, right? And I would love to understand how you're re-engaging with your existing customers to continue to bring them back, and how are you speaking and resonating with new customers?
17.1 billion combinations. That's how many combinations you can get at CAVA. It's a pretty astounding number, and it's one of those things where customers will come to us 5-6 times a week because they can get their lamb meatballs, harissa chicken, they could get roasted veggies, and one of the things that's really special about CAVA is just all the unique toppings and ingredients we have as a brand. And so for us, it's really about re-engaging those customers with all our unique variety that we have. Our loyalists, one of the beautiful things is it's a brand that I've never seen so many organic TikTok videos posted, in the sense of people feel really passionate about the brand. Bringing heart, health, and humanity to food is our mission statement. And it's something that we see show up regularly again with our customers, our team members, and it's something that we're very passionate about. So part of the growth has been new restaurant count. So like I said, 320 plus locations, 24 states, but also just converting fans through brand awareness. So we're regularly doing new campaigns to try to educate customers on Mediterranean food. And then I would just say again, Mediterranean food is the 7th year in a row. Mediterranean diet is the most popular diet in the world. And so we feel that we can be that category defining brand and lead the way with teaching customers how to eat Mediterranean food.
Yeah.
Can I just add to that? And I'm sorry if you're
go
about
ahead.
to answer, I'm interrupting you. I think what's really important from a loyalty standpoint that gets missed a lot is those of us who grew up with loyalty, and I love what you said. Education has become such an important part about educating about your brand, your food. I think people are really looking for that. They're looking for more than just I get points and I get some. They're looking for connection. And if you take advantage of that education piece, it really opens up a dialogue that you can have that makes people attach themselves more to your brand and want to engage with you more because they're learning, they're feeling better about what they're doing, they're feeling good about your brand. I think it's a really important point.
Yeah. For us, it's really important. Our franchise owners really embrace the fact that they're bringing healthy choices to their communities. Every day I'm talking to someone who's looking to make a healthier choice and can't find that option. And so with our Better For You brands and our franchisees who are really committed to that mission, being able to communicate that you can make a better choice. It doesn't have to be the best choice. It just has to be a better choice and make that journey. And you can do it without sacrifice. You know, the Mediterranean, we're in that space as well. Probably the best tasting food you're going to get. It's amazing taste and it's very, very healthy. SaladWorks, Fruit Bowls, same thing. Very, very healthy food, and it becomes a habit and it becomes an impact in that community, which is very, very important to all of us.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Let's go to the next slide, guys. We'll talk about loyalty, marketing, CRM a little bit. The whole reason loyalty started was so we could scale what we used to do in store, right? If a regular came in, it was so easy to convert them. You bought them a beer on the house, or you just made them feel special. You needed a name, you needed their first name. We wanted to scale that as we open more locations and as we went digital. And I feel like a lot of what we're doing, a lot of what we're doing is giving 10% cash back, right? Discount for life. How are you guys making your customers feel like regulars? You guys, you're literally making them play a game and look for your product in the metaverse, converting that to in-store. How are you guys, making your guests feel like regular? Because you guys have some incredible in-store training. I can, the staff who's building that bowl, they're incredibly engaging. How can we take some of that and make that digital?
I think a lot of it is about building that personalized journey, that personalized connection with the guest. Jeff talked about this. It's not just about continuing to give somebody a discount. It's building that emotional connection with the brand, building the education about the product, and giving somebody something unique. Loyalty programs, I think, historically have been seen as like a discounting mechanism for the brand. Obviously, when sales are rough, you can push the discount button and try to get transactions to increase. But I think the biggest piece of the loyalty program that I would say you have to stay true to is just making sure it's not that lever that's a discount mechanism. Yeah. One of the, I think, well-known truths is like people focus on the fact that 80% of your revenue comes from your 20% customers. I don't believe in that. I think you should focus on your other 80% of the customers, because the size of the prize is much larger with that 80% group. So if you get that 80% group to come one additional time, it's much more likely to help your loyalty program and overall business.
Yeah. Same question for you, but you have a unique challenge. You have a lot of virtual locations as well.
We do. One of the things with loyalty is your heavy users have proven that they agree with your price. They want to spend $10 on a salad. They think that's a great value. And so often within loyalty programs, you're discounting that customer and you're challenging the price value perception that they've already established. They don't want that. So what we aim to do is to try to give them information. We call it loosely guarded secrets. These are things about the brand that they may not know, something that they feel like they are on the inside when they learn about it. It might be a pre-announcement of a coming LTO or new item. It may be information about the Bentley salad that just is special, about our Green Goddess dressing. That's going to compel them to have that little bit of knowledge and connect them more closely with the brand and more closely with their location, and then get that word of mouth. So we use that to really engender that population and make them feel like they're insiders.
Yeah, I love that. I think that, I shouldn't say I think, I know, or I believe. We used to do a rewards program. That to me is the discounting, right? You give them rewards. Loyalty is being used for rewards, right? That's what everyone are making them synonymous. They're separate. And again, I come out of Let Us Entertain You, which is full service dining. If you're a loyal restaurateur or a guest, right? The number one thing, the greatest thing that can happen to you when you go in the restaurant, it's not that the maitre d' knows who you are and gives you a table right away. It's not you get that free dessert. It's if the chef and his chef whites left the kitchen and came to your table. Like that was like the greatest thing that could happen to you in a restaurant. If you ever saw the chef walk through a dining room and go to a table, everyone would know who that was. That's how you create loyalty, right? Is you make people feel special. And there's a lot of opportunities now where you can remember people's orders, right? You can remember their name. I love what was said in one of the earlier sessions about, the baristas now at Starbucks are making drinks like this and handing you the drink as opposed to keeping their head up, right? Like that's how you create loyalty. And what we were talking about with the metaverse is we had this idea in our Hot Buns Club that we want to create a second tier, right? We want to charge people a little bit more money a year, give them additional benefits. And one of the benefits ideas we had is imagine if you were home cooking one night and you were making a dish and you were missing an ingredient and you didn't know what to do, right? You can't go back out to the store and you were stuck. But imagine you could get on the phone or online and talk to a real chef. And we thought that would be like the ultimate loyalty thing we can offer you, is if you were at home and like, hey, I'm making shrimp scampi tonight and I don't have shrimp. What should I do? And you could literally interact with somebody who's an expert in cooking and can help you out with things. I think that's what loyalty is about. Loyalty at the end of the day is about connection. And that's what people need to be focused on.
I think one other point that we should discuss on loyalty is this whole subscription model and mindset. I think that a lot of brands have kind of delved into that space, and it's something that I think consumers are very fatigued with. You talk about something like a DoorDash Dash Pass, Uber One membership. Those are obviously kind of the paramount examples of the off-premise space, but a lot of brands are kind of stepping their toe in the water of, should I pay $10 a month so I can get a $2 or $3, $4 discount every single day? But like to a lot of the points made earlier, like those are already your loyal customers. So why would they again want to pay an additional dollar amount to be, I guess, a little bit more closely associated with benefits? And to me, it just doesn't make sense. I don't know what you guys think about. paid subscription.
If I can add one thing, is we have a customer we serve, Clean Juice. They have a 100 location. They serve juice. The reason they have subscription is because you don't want to order juice all the time. It's fresh. You don't. It's supposed to be more convenient, and that's why the subscription program works. And I think what often we're doing with tech is we're just turning it on instead of using it for a purpose and with some intention. So I think that's one of the things I've seen, which is you don't have to use all the features. Use the ones you need, right?
Definitely.
There's no reason to add subscription if your customer's coming in once a month or twice a month.
Yeah, but I think with that also, I mean, I can't speak for everyone in the room, but I probably have like 17 or 18 subscriptions to, Disney and Hulu and ESPN and Netflix. And number one, I can't watch them all. Number two, I don't even know what I have subscriptions to, right? To me, I don't think that and I don't have any data to support it. You guys have all the data in the world. I don't think people are fatigued with subscriptions. I think the subscription opportunities that are out there are so early that they haven't really defined them, and they haven't figured out how to interact with the consumer, and the consumer hasn't figured out how to interact with it. I know Protein Bar, 17 units, I think, or I think they have less now, out of Chicago, and they're also growing in airports. They have a subscription model, and it's because people love their drink, and they go literally every day for that protein shake, and they want to get it, and they're using that subscription model to collect data, drive communication, and if they ever see the lapsed consumer, number one, they get the benefit of the subscription, but they're just finding different ways to communicate. So I think it's more about let's learn how to do it right, and we're early stages still.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go to the next slide. We're gonna skip the next slide and go to, we'll talk about third party and first party. This is how we first met. This is the first meeting, talking about third party, first party, and a friendship blossom.
I remember.
You remember it? Let's not repeat it. Okay, all right, really quickly, let's talk about third party and first party. We need third party companies. They're so important to us. They're introducing us to customers that we otherwise would not have met, right? But we also need to convert some of them to first party, making them our loyalists, especially the ones that want to connect with these brands at a deeper level. Is there internal mandate you guys have on how much you're hoping comes in from third party versus first party?
I think you look at third party as, generally speaking, like a shopping mall. So think about the fact that you have a bunch of different brands that you can literally click on and say, oh, I want Mediterranean or I want Italian food. And the beauty of third party is it gives customers the power of choice, which is incredible. First party is your ownable data, and I think as you get into cookieless future and you look at just ways that brands want to remarket and retarget customers, first party is like the paramount win for a brand because you own that data. It's something that you're going to build on in the future. But I would say they're two unique customer sets, and to me both are extremely valuable. If you have that premium on third party delivery, then you're covering the margin anyways. But ultimately, I'd much rather have them buy from us than a competitor.
Same basic approach is we certainly would love them on the first party, and we will put things in place to help encourage them to be on third party. But we also appreciate the fact that they may be an Uber Eats customer, and that is their choice, and we want that group of customers to come in as well. And so, within a franchise organization, setting that expectation that all customers are worthy, and we want to move them over to first party, but we appreciate all the orders coming in, and we do charge the premium. So we've covered the margin and equilibrated the margins on it. So, we like third party for bringing new customers to us. We like the fact that those customers are highly frequent customers, highly frequent diners, but everything that we can do to get them first party, wonderful. If they stay there, wonderful.
I love how you phrased it. You said, we also love the Uber Eats customers. And I think as a restaurant industry, we realize that they're sometimes going to visit us, but they're Uber Eats customers. I think that makes the entire strategy of converting some of them a little bit more strategic. Jeff, did you want to add something?
I think you guys hit it, and I don't need to really elaborate on it. But I think what I got out of that the most was we appreciate them. I think that's so important. And the hard part is, as owners of the business, I know we all hate the fees, right? The fees. Oh, I wish the fees were less. I hate them spending less money on the fees. I come from the realm that I believe the third-party delivery platforms saved the restaurant industry, point blank. And we should be thankful for the business. And this generation that's up and coming doesn't know how to go out and eat, right? I mean, I have a 25-year-old daughter. You can't get people to look at you when they're eating, right? So they want the convenience. And the hard part is sometimes the heads of the companies are so angry about the fees and are so angry about that business, and they're not appreciating that they're actually getting the sales, that they become negative, and they're constantly talking about how do we change the mindset of the consumer. And everything starts at the top and trickles down. If you're negative about those sales, if you're negative about the fees, that gets all the way down to the frontline worker. And all of a sudden, you're not packaging the food as nice. And all of a sudden, you're not being nice to the driver. And all of a sudden, the food's not made the right way because you're angry about paying a fee.
Yeah.
And that can be so costly for your business. And I think if we were more appreciative that we actually have a sale and find ways to get them off the third party to the first party, whether that's going on Roblox and being, in the news all the time or just a bag stuffer that you can do. Our job is to figure out how to convert them to being our customer, our guest, our diner. But we should never lose sight that we need to be appreciating that we have that business.
Mm-hmm. So guys, all three of you have mentioned it's important to move them over. How do we move some of them over? First of all, who are we moving over? What kind of profile is moving over to first party? And how are we doing that?
Nobody in the world knows how to do it.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I think there was almost a medicine during the pandemic that everybody took, and it was free delivery. Yeah. Everybody was trying to do the next free delivery campaign, and you saw that momentary blip in sales, and then ultimately it came back down. And so I think, again, it's about providing that emotional connection to the brand. There's so many people who are targeted, marketed to, that want to be part of loyalty programs, and you have to figure out a way to win. And ultimately, if they love your brand, they're going to come into your program. And so making sure that it's not just about the transactional benefit, but coming back to the brand and wanting to be at the forefront of stomach, of mind, and knowing that you have something that another company can't provide.
That's what it's making a connection with the guest, right? Because you can't run an Instagram ad, order delivery today from us at 9 a.m. because no one's going to remember you at 7 p.m. tonight to order delivery. And 9 out of 10 people, if not more, get hungry and they're just opening the DoorDash app, right? So you lost. It's all about making a connection so you're at the forefront, that they're thinking of you more than somebody else. But these third-party delivery companies are mammoth, right? They are worth billions of dollars. They have an unbelievable data set. They have unbelievable people working for them. This is not a battle that I think is going to be won. Yeah. It's not about, can you switch them over? It's about, can I get 10 people this week to make the move?
Yeah, same thing. It's keeping the door open for them and showing them the value of the loyalty program, making it obvious and available and easy for them to join our program. And then also doing that for the in-store guest who may become the delivery guest in the future. Because the delivery guest is a little tougher, but the in-store guest, knowing that they can order through us directly, we have a great opportunity to prevent them from going to third party and going to us instead directly.
I mean, the Roblox thing you're doing, that leads back to your app and your website, doesn't lead back to a third party. So innovating and being a first mover is one of the things we've seen very successful. So some of the things we've seen is folks have, like one of our users, they have a live stream of the locations, so you can see how busy it is, so people will walk in or not walk in. So I think adding value, giving your customers what you want is what you guys all have been talking about, and I think we need to just create, as technology companies, we need to create more space for it.
Well, just to go with that, look, technology is great, and we're all trying to find ways to cut costs and be cooler and have great technology. But to your point, that at the end of the day, and I think everyone said it on this panel throughout, it also comes down to hospitality. And we are getting so focused on the tech aspect that we're losing that hospitality factor. And you brought up the pandemic during the free delivery, and I'm sure everyone in the room did this, but we used to write handwritten notes on every delivery order, right? Thank you for choosing us, hope you're doing okay, stay strong, right? Whatever it is you wrote. And we're trying to encourage our partners to still do that, but everyone's busy again, and everyone's short-staffed because we're trying to save money on payroll. The hospitality factor cannot be lost as we continue to grow the technology piece. And that's what I think we can talk about, education, communication, recognition, conversation. You have to constantly be fighting. When that guest is in front of you and you have a way to communicate with that guest, you have got to make that hospitality connection.
Absolutely. On the next slide, we'll talk about catering a little bit. I think we've maximized, what we can do within the four walls. You guys are definitely, beating all odds. All three of your brands are. We've also maximized during the pandemic how much delivery we can do. We're now on all systems, and it's basically, even field in terms of where are we delivering. We're delivering on all the major 3PD and also local ones now, right? But catering is something that has been a nice to have for restaurants. Restaurants have never properly invested in, most restaurant groups. And I think that's changing now. I think that's a place of low-hanging fruit and a lot of revenue left for these restaurants. Would love to hear about internal strategies that you guys have in terms of how you're approaching catering, as this is the fastest growing sector in terms of new revenue for restaurants.
Yeah, I mean, we as a brand are really focused on catering. We have set up an entirely new department within a department to handle catering, which is really special, and I appreciate that the company's given us the resource to do that. We have 21 catering locations right now in the US, and we're continuing to explore new ways in. I think you've seen historically, there was a movement away from the downtown locations, and so there was a little bit of concern that office worker was not coming back, but when you think about catering, it's not just the B2B. There's a lot of B2C opportunity. You think about weddings, you think about special events. I think restaurants are really starting to realize that now is the time and people are willing to spend the money for really good hospitable experiences.
Yeah.
And it's something we're very invested in CAVA. We have a couple of tests in the system right now that we've shared publicly that we're really looking forward to see the results and ultimately looking to redesign what that catering experience looks like.
Yeah, I think downtown is packed again because, at least for catering, because you don't have a lot of ways to bring people back to the office. Food is still one of them. A perk where we can all sit around a table and connect again. And that's the only reason, not being remote is important, which is let's connect and build chemistry. We can do the work remotely more efficiently without the commute. But I think that's why a lot of restaurants downtown are like, let's bring it back. Let's
definitely. And I think you see that some of those spikes too,
Yeah.
like Tuesday through Thursday, very busy delivery days. Monday through Friday, a lot of companies saying stay at home.
Stay at home.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, the hybrid workforce is really a boon for catering. Catering's always been a core piece of how we manage our business and how we grow our business. It's not optional. It's part of the model that being able to serve catering, being able to have $500, $1,000 in the register before you open the doors is a beautiful thing. Easiest way to run labor, have $1,000 in the register before you open the door. And the opportunity to have that paid sharing, that paid sampling to one customer orders, you've got 30 people eating, they all know how to get back to your restaurant, they are all going to come visit because they had a great catering experience. It is the virtuous cycle of how to build. And what we do is, number one, we treat it as a non-negotiable. This is what we do. This is part of our business. Catering is part of the element. And then we show them the systems, from recipes to packaging to customer service and follow-up. And at the end of the day, sometimes it's as simple as just simply answering the phone and taking the order and fulfilling that order and getting that mindset in place.
I think one other thing that you mentioned that was really interesting is that $500, $1,000 to start the day. That's great, but you want to make sure you're not sacrificing your retail business instead of, worrying about both. And so that's one thing. If you're looking to get into catering, I would say make sure that your retail business is steady before you start really dabbling your toe into the catering business.
How do you tell the restaurant how to prioritize?
I think it's about labor, it's about scheduling, it's about good partnership with your operations partner. We're very lucky. I have a very good operations partner at CAVA who you need to just make sure that the restaurant's set up for success. So he referenced training. You need to make sure you have the packaging, the systems in place so they're able to replicate. But I think the biggest thing is just making sure labor is in place and making sure that you have some sort of system in place to make sure that if the restaurant does get a $4,000 or $5,000 order, you set them up to be successful.
Yeah.
Because the last thing you want to do is have them overloaded and then when they open the doors at 10:45, they're just exhausted already. So you want to make sure you set up the restaurant teams for success.
Yeah. Before we move to Jeff, the two challenges I have with catering, and this is my plea to the restaurant industry, is you're spending so much money on your small batch orders, like a $20 order or a $50 order, but what you're doing is the opposite is happening in catering. It's a large order, $500, $1,000, and this packaging is not fantastic. And it should be the opposite. This is a place of where you can actually promote your brand at boardrooms everywhere. And we're doing the opposite, where get something from Kitchen Depot and just make it go away. And I think catering is not something you can make it go away. Catering is something you have to be really intentional about.
It's almost like you knew what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Look,
That's your script. Sorry about that.
First of all, I think we got to be really careful when we call it catering. Right? Because I think catering means something different to everybody. If I'm having a catered event, I'm bringing in a bartender, I'm bringing in servers, we're walking around my house and they're passing hors d'oeuvres. That's how I picture catering. A lot of people just picture catering, the food's just going to get dropped off in the kitchen table in the break room and help yourself to it. What we do is when we're working with our partners across the country is we really encourage catering. We think it's very good, and we have partners who are doing $7,000 a week in delivery catering, and to your point, it happens early. The positive about this, to go to your point about scheduling and taking care of your staff, is almost every order, though, you're getting 24 hours notice, if not more. right? It's very rare someone's waking up at 9:30 in the morning saying, oh, I need to order food for 100 people in an hour. It happens, don't get me wrong. But when you have that kind of insight, two things happen. You can schedule appropriately and you can prep appropriately, right? And that, I think, you gotta be smart, it's a business. And that's the most important thing to your point about packaging, is catering is a business. And if you're just gonna treat it like, oh, here goes food for 50 out the door, I guarantee you it's not 50 great meals. It's not 50 great experiences. And the packaging is important. Well, the packaging, do they want it as individual box lunches? Is it gonna be buffet style? Do you have the serving utensils? You know, did you package plates? Did you get napkins? Are you doing it as 50 individual hot dogs, or did you make it a giant thing, right? And to your point, is it logoed? Is there instructions? Are there name tags to go out? I mean, there's so many pieces to do it. And we've embraced it. We've been doing catering, right? Because, for lack of a better word, outside of the four walls, that any concept I've been involved in since '95. So, and we're still doing it wrong, I'm sure. But we have enough learnings. Did you think about this? Did you think about that? And what I encourage you is, you can't do everything tomorrow. You have to do things really to the best of your ability. And catering is a business. And delivery is a business. And carry-out food is a business. And the customer walks in your door is a business. And you can't just have one manager with an exhausted kitchen open the door and do all those businesses. Somebody needs to be responsible for getting orders, chasing orders, bringing in more orders, following up on the order, right? And there's great technology out there to bring in sales, and there's great technology out there to make sure the kitchen does it right. And there's AI now to follow up on it. You have to go at a pace that works for you, but you have to take every single piece of food and packaging that leaves your restaurant and make sure it is right. And our teams are tired, and we're all growing at a rate that we don't have our eye on the ball. So I encourage you to do it right.
Yeah. Did you want to add something?
No.
Okay. I wanted to, like, the one observation I've seen is CAVA is such a catering-friendly brand, right? I wonder how many people ate their first CAVA meal because the office ordered it for everyone because it's easy to order. Here's the vegan stuff, vegetarian stuff, all the meat. And then they became maybe an individual app user or someone who walked in. Have you guys thought about catering as a strategy for getting more and more businesses because you guys are so business focused downtown?
We have a lot of people who experience CAVA for the first time through catering. And again, it's a lot about that education piece. It's about educating them on how you build the bowl, how you build the salad, all the different ingredients we have. It's not an easy thing once you see so many different ingredient boxes. And so you want to just make sure, obviously, that you create an ultimate customer experience. We're definitely focused on that right now. How do you build that customer journey across the catering profile? And for us, it's really an opportunity to welcome people in our front doors. They get that first exposure, they try us again, and it's again about building that connection with the consumer so that they're going to come back and visit us again. We have an incredible catering sales team at CAVA. They very much follow up on that visit after they deliver that catering order. So to us, it's about experimentation, trial, but then also reorder.
Got it. On the next slide, I think this is our last slide before we start to wrap up. We'll talk about dynamic pricing a little bit. And it's very recent. Wendy's got into a lot of trouble for introducing dynamic pricing or surcharges. We're still trying to figure out what the name is. After we wrap up, if it's ghost kitchen or virtual kitchen, we'll rename dynamic pricing or surge pricing. But they got a lot of heat for it. But at the same time, airlines are not getting a lot of heat for it, right? And other places, other venues are not getting a lot of hit. My Uber rate changes every day as I'm going to the same place. Why is it that, when we tried in the restaurant industry, something exactly like this, we received, let's say, so much criticism?
Jeff and I battled on this in our prep calls. I'll let Jeff go
Positively.
first.
Well, see, I like that. I appreciate it. Let me go first, and you can have the last word.
It's a strategy.
Right. So let's be clear. Wendy's said on an earnings call the word surge pricing. Okay. They did not say dynamic pricing, and that's what got them this terrible thing. Right. Does everyone know what dynamic pricing is? Right. Okay. Fine. Anybody doing it? Okay. So anybody have happy hour in your restaurant?
We've been doing it for years.
Happy hour. Happy hour is dynamic pricing. Right. Don't kid yourself. And if you're doing if you're doing $30 bottles of wine on Wednesday night or half off on Sunday, you're doing dynamic pricing. So the ecosystem, the consumer doesn't understand dynamic pricing. So to your point, maybe it's the name more than anything else. I don't like that it cost me $180 to take a $20 cab ride when it's raining outside. I don't like that. I don't like these people who want to charge me money, an extra $30 on my reservation to have a good table on a Saturday night. I don't like it. I'm a consumer, I don't like it. But we are kidding ourselves if we don't think dynamic pricing is coming to the restaurant industry. Anybody grocery shop? You ever go to buy a carton of milk or a quart of milk and it's a different price today versus tomorrow? Dynamic pricing, right? All of this exists. It's more about how you present it. We all grew up with paper menus. Well, I grew up with paper menus, right? Now you have QR menus. You could change your price every day. I'm not talking about $5 more for a steak. You know, you can change it pennies, quarters, whatever it may be. That's dynamic pricing. But we have this world where I came in. By the way, sorry, I'm going on a tangent here. Anyone eat Big Macs at McDonald's? Big Mac in New York City and a Big Mac in Iowa are different pricing. So there's a lot to this already. Our industry, our consumer base doesn't understand it, and we haven't figured out how to communicate it. That's the issue. At least that's my belief. But I will tell you, it is 100% coming. The adoption rate will be there. We're all going to start doing it. We might not be, you're all saying, no, I'm never going to do this. You're going to do it. It might be 3 years, right? But at the end of the day, our businesses are getting harder to manage, and we all raise prices, right? Today you raised half your menu, tomorrow you're going to raise the other half, and then you're going to go back to the first half again. But that's my argument.
Yeah. All right, rebuttal.
Where's Judge Judy by
Yeah,
now?
right.
Yeah. We'll do a vote at the end.
I think what I agree with Jeff on is obviously there's a lot of elasticity with pricing. I think the milk carton example is a very fair one. The way that Wendy's came out and positioned it, I think, was a bit of a misstep. When you think about the food industry, food is a necessity. And I think with a cost-conscious consumer, specifically Wendy's, where they have a lot of value, to make an announcement like that, people are very sensitive in terms of their wallet. And for that type of announcement, for that type of brand, it is very, very, I would just say, scary. In the sense of like, you want to make sure customers want to depend on you for the price that you're offering every single day. And I think most restaurants take 2 to 3 pricing actions per year, and all of us have different pricing tiers. So to Jeff's point, you do operate in New York, you're going to pay more for the rent, you're going to pay more for the labor, thus customers expect to receive a higher price. You go to some place like, call it Birmingham, Alabama, the cost structure of operating your business is different there. So you're going to have probably a lower price tier. So yes, I agree respectfully that there is going to be different price tiering in the system. I do think it'll take a long time, especially for fast food and QSR, to have some sort of surge or dynamic pricing. I think it's going to be tough.
By the way, we do not do it. Just that.
Yeah, we don't do it either. But there's not a sense of scarcity. The sense of scarcity is the line is out the door, and that's the sense of scarcity for our in-store guests. So. You mentioned we all have different price books, and within a given location, there's multiple price books within that location based on the different order channels that they're coming through. So to Jeff's point, I think this will evolve over time, and it probably won't be what the counter price is. It might be what the delivery price is. It might be the 11 in the morning or the 9 o'clock in the morning catering price is where these things make more sense to the consumer and provide them incentives to order at a more favorable model for us and get that price reward as well.
And I just want to add on, if anyone here has a different price on your third-party delivery app than you have in your restaurant, I don't know if that's dynamic or surge pricing, but what I'm saying is the introduction is coming. It's about how are you introducing it. And if you don't like it, you can roll it back because you're not making announcements. Let's not make announcements.
I think, though, the challenge is the customer, if they frequent your location, they're depending on some sort of price offering. And I think that's where brands will be in a tricky spot. If someone is expecting to pay $12 for a bowl, and then, call it, you go at 6 or 7 o'clock, why is it $15? It's going to take a while to get there.
Yeah. Guys, can we do a quick survey? Who here is supportive of what Wendy's is doing in terms of dynamic or surge pricing? Raise your hand if you're supportive of Wendy's doing that. So what are they doing, Jeff? What is Wendy's doing?
Again, I'm not speaking for Wendy's. I can't tell you. My understanding is literally on their call, they just brought up the term that they were thinking about dynamic pricing, but were thinking about surge pricing. Yeah. It was a slip of the tongue.
Yeah,
the price would change, right?
Based on the time.
If the drive-through got a line out the thing, let's just raise prices by a quarter because there's a line outside. There's a restaurant in New York City. I think it was inside Penn Station, and I'm going back like 8 years ago. And if you've ever been to Penn Station, it's a major traffic hub. They would have those menu boards. They were digitized, and during peak travel times, their prices went up. In the middle of the day when no one's traveling, their prices went down. And I heard about this 8 years ago, and I was like, this is disgusting. I was floored by it. I was like, we'll never do anything like this. But to your point, you book at the hotel to stay here last night versus you booked it 3 months ago. I bet you paid a different price.
Yeah. What do you want to add?
We're also, we keep talking about raising prices, but dynamic means you can go either way. To
Great
take
point.
Full advantage, and that was the point about happy hour, right?
Yeah.
You can already do these things. I used to be with a company that had finished goods.
Yeah.
And in finished goods, right at the end of the day, you throw it out. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Dynamic pricing platform or capability would allow us to move through.
Did you all hear that? Dynamic pricing means you can go down too. We're
Yeah.
insinuating it only means you go up. It's a great point.
We're at the end of the panel, or I'd make you switch with Andy. add you to the panel. Cool, awesome, guys. That's the end of our
They can clap.
Yeah, come on.
No, we're gonna do a big
adoration.
clap. We're gonna do a big clap at the end. All right, quick bold predictions from each of you for the next year in off-premise. Big bold prediction, and also, what would be your last meal on earth? It can't be your brand. It can't be CAVA, WOWorks. It can't be each other's brands either.
So yesterday morning, I took a hot air balloon, and 2 nights ago, the night before it, Nation's Restaurant News is one of the people here. They were writing my obituary, thinking they were going to get the scoop because I was taking a hot air balloon. So my last meal would have been Italian because that's what I ate then. So that was an easy question. This thing about doing a bold prediction was sprung on us right before this, so not a lot of thought went into this question for me. So my bold prediction is just what I'd like to see happen is we all focus a lot more on hospitality. I think that it's really, really important that people are coming back to the office. Inflation's hurting us. There's a lot going on, and people want value. And we are forced to raise prices. We are forced to beat to death our employees to get as much out of them, and so on and so forth. I think we really have to put in a focus, and it's not a prediction, it's a hope, that we can give that value and focus on hospitality.
Yeah. I think mine is very similar.
Italian food?
Italian, well, it'd be clams and linguine.
Oh, okay. That's Italian.
Yeah, it's Italian. So, we're at a precipice right now as we're moving into AI, and so it's a whole new environment of digitization. And I think as we go through there, there's a new level of distrust that's going to come with AI. And so, in our business, we're a very tactile business. We're very experiential. So it's kind of the return or the appreciation of the analog. It's the experience in the restaurant. It's the experience with the food. It's the hospitality that we serve. The things that we're basically founded on, I think, are going to become more appreciated by guests who are so used to that heads down experience, and will make a bigger impact on our guests.
Pesto pasta and pita chips from CAVA.
Oh, you broke the rule.
Publicly traded company, different rules.
And then in terms of bold prediction, I would say AI is going to be a little bit more commonplace. I know everybody throws it around and they think they know what they're doing with it, but I think that it's going to be a little bit more well understood, widely adopted, and it's not just going to be a stitched on solution.
Awesome.
Sorry,
All right,
my
now
last thought was for tomorrow. My bold prediction for tomorrow is you're all going to play Roblox.
I love it. I love it. Guys, please give it up for Jeff, Brian, Andy. Thank you guys so much. Thank you. Thank you all for coming. Guys, really appreciate it.
Thank you. Good job. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Are you going to be in Chicago next week?
Yes, I'm in Chicago until early May.
Okay. Yeah, we're opening.
Oh, where are you opening?
Wicker Park.
All right, here.
If you want